Robert was a 72-year-old retired veteran traveling to his son's wedding. When he showed his first-class ticket, young airline employee Jessica told him, "Sorry, but this section is reserved for important people." Robert calmly showed his ticket again. But Jessica insisted, "I think you misunderstood. You belong in economy class." Robert didn't argue at all. He just smiled. But when Jessica learned Robert's identity and what he had done, she would receive a lesson she'd never forget in her life, because Robert wasn't just an ordinary veteran. Before we dive into this powerful story about respect, judgment, and the heroes hiding in plain sight, tell me in the comments, from which city are you watching this video today? And if you believe stories like this deserve to be heard, hit that subscribe button to support Honor Stories. We're here to share the moments that remind us never to judge by appearances. At 2:30 p.m., the major city airport was crowded as usual. In the first-class check-in section of the terminal building, Robert Chen was quietly waiting his turn. The 72-year-old retired soldier was dressed cleanly but simply, an old but ironed shirt, dark pants, and worn black shoes. He carried a small handbag and his boarding pass. Standing across from Robert was Jessica Rodriguez, a young woman who was 26 years old and had been working for the airline for only 6 months. Fresh out of college, confident but inexperienced, she thought first-class customers were typically people who wore expensive suits, had luxury accessories, and made themselves feel important. When Robert's turn came, he approached Jessica's counter. He extended his boarding pass and spoke in a calm voice. "Hello, I am here to check in for first class," Robert said. Jessica looked at the boarding pass and frowned. The ticket was indeed for first class, but the man in front of her didn't look like a first-class passenger to her. He was elderly, simply dressed, with no luxury items. "Sorry, but this section is reserved for important people," Jessica said, looking down at Robert. Robert was surprised. "I don't understand. My ticket is for first class," he replied. Jessica examined the ticket again, but her prejudices weighed heavily.
"I think you misunderstood. You belong in economy class. Maybe someone gave you the wrong ticket,"
she suggested. Robert tried to stay calm. "I bought the ticket myself. I'm traveling for my son's wedding. Could you please check my first-class ticket?" he asked. "Look, sir," Jessica said impatiently. "This section is for important people like businessmen, doctors, lawyers. You look more like an economy class customer." Meanwhile, experienced staff member Margaret Williams, working at a nearby check-in counter, noticed the situation. Having worked in the airline industry for 15 years, Margaret had heard Jessica's voice and was disturbed. Robert didn't get angry at all. He just smiled. "I understand. No problem," he said. Jessica felt relieved. "Economy class check-in is over there, on the right side," she directed. Robert turned toward Margaret's direction. Margaret had noticed his calm demeanor and mature behavior. She sensed something different about the elderly man. "Can I help you?" Margaret said politely. Robert handed his boarding pass to Margaret. "I have a first-class ticket, but your colleague," he began. Margaret examined the ticket. The ticket was definitely for first class and had been properly purchased. She searched for Robert's name on the computer. "Robert Chen," Margaret murmured. The name sounded familiar to her, but she couldn't remember where she had heard it. Jessica interjected. "Margaret, this man doesn't belong in first class. Look how he's dressed," she said. Margaret gave Jessica a stern look.
"Jessica, we don't judge our customers by their appearance," she replied.
Robert's information began loading on the computer screen. As Margaret looked at the screen, her eyes widened. What she saw was incredible. "Mr. Chen," Margaret said respectfully. Are you that Robert Chen?" Robert nodded humbly. "Just a father going to his son's wedding?" he replied. Margaret checked the screen again. "Are you Robert Chen, the Medal of Honor recipient?" she asked. Jessica asked confusedly. "What's a Medal of Honor?" Margaret turned and looked at Jessica. "Medal of Honor, America's highest military decoration," she explained. Robert felt uncomfortable. "Please, let's not discuss the past. I just want to board the plane," he said. But Margaret didn't stop. She continued reading the records on the computer. Vietnam War veteran, 1,968, 1,000, 971. Delta Company, 2nd Battalion. Medal of Honor, Silver Star, Bronze Star, Purple Heart, she read. Jessica was shocked. Is this real? She asked. Margaret turned to Robert. Mr. Chen, I watched a documentary about you. In 1970, you went behind enemy lines alone to save Vietnamese villagers, she said. Robert nodded. That was a long time ago, he replied. You saved 18 wounded civilians. Under enemy fire. You fought for 72 hours straight, Margaret continued. Jessica's face turned red. She had just told a Medal of Honor recipient that he wasn't an important person. Mr. Chen, Jessica said with a trembling voice, I'm so sorry. Robert gently touched her shoulder. No problem, my dear. You're doing your job, he said kindly. Margaret stood up. Mr. Chen, I'll arrange everything for you. I'm giving you the best seat in first class, she offered. It's not necessary, Robert said. Any seat will do. Jessica insisted. No, sir. We should give you special attention, she said. Meanwhile, nearby passengers had started to overhear the conversation. A businessman approached Robert. Are you really a Medal of Honor recipient? He asked. Robert nodded. Yes, but, he began. The businessman extended his hand. My grandfather also fought in Vietnam. It's an honor to meet you, he said. Other nearby passengers also began to learn about the situation. Soon, a small crowd formed around Robert. A female passenger asked, Are you that Robert Chen from the heroism story? The one who saved the children? Robert began to feel uncomfortable. Please, I was just doing my job, he said. Margaret turned to Jessica. Jessica, mark Mr. Chen's luggage as priority, and if there are any upgrades, give them to him, she instructed. Jessica quickly began working. Of course, I'll do it right away, she said. Robert looked at Margaret. Really, it's not necessary. I expect normal treatment, he said. Mr. Chen, Margaret said, you deserve not normal treatment, but the respect you've earned. A young man from nearby approached Robert. Sir, I'm also a soldier. I returned from Iraq. They told us your story during training, he said. Robert shook the young soldier's hand. Thank you, son. How are you doing? He asked. I'm fine, sir. We were inspired thanks to you, the soldier replied. While Jessica worked on the computer, she was thinking, how had she misjudged such an important person? Appearance meant nothing. Margaret turned to Robert. Mr. Chen, we'll take you on the plane with priority boarding. They'll be waiting for you at the gate, she said. Margaret, Robert said, all this attention is unnecessary. I'm just a normal passenger. No, sir, Margaret replied. You're a hero. Jessica found the courage to ask, Mr. Chen, is that story true? Did you save 18 people by yourself? Robert took a long breath. That day, I just did what was right. I had no other choice, he answered. But for 72 hours without sleeping, Jessica began. It was necessary, Robert interrupted. People were dying. There were children among them. Margaret's eyes filled with tears. You're a real hero, she said. Robert shook his head. Real heroes are the ones who couldn't come home. I'm just lucky, he replied. Meanwhile, the airline's regional manager, David Martinez, heard about the situation and came to Robert's side. Mr. Chen, David said. I'm David Martinez, regional manager. It's a great honor to meet you. Robert extended his hand. Nice to meet you, he replied. Mr. Chen, is there anything special we can do for you? Would you like to use the business lounge? David offered. Thank you, but it's not necessary. I just want to make it to my son's wedding, Robert said. David looked at Jessica. Jessica, take care of this gentleman's every need, he instructed. Jessica nodded. Of course, sir, she replied. Robert picked up his bag. Thank you, everyone. I need to go now, he said. Margaret stood up. Mr. Chen, let me escort you to the plane, she offered. It's not necessary, Margaret. I'll find my way, Robert replied. But Margaret insisted. She walked with Robert toward the security checkpoint. On the way, Margaret asked, Mr. Chen, can you ever forget that day? Robert stopped. I remember it every night, but not the people we saved, the ones we couldn't save, he said. But you saved 18 people, Margaret pointed out. Yes, but we lost 3 people. I can't forget them, Robert replied. Margaret nodded understandingly. You're very humble, she observed. Not humble, realistic. I learned a lot that day. Most importantly, appearance means nothing. What matters is a person's heart, Robert explained. At the security checkpoint, Robert turned to Margaret. Margaret, don't be angry with Jessica. She's just young and inexperienced. Everyone makes mistakes, he said. But she was disrespectful to you, Margaret replied. She didn't do it intentionally, and she learned. That's what matters, Robert said. Margaret smiled. You're a wonderful person, she said. Robert went through security control. On the other side, as he walked toward the gate, he was thinking, Jessica's mistake was actually a general mistake society made, judging people by their appearance. When boarding began at the gate, the staff called Robert as the first person they would take. Priority boarding, Mr. Robert Chen, they announced. Robert felt embarrassed. He didn't want all this attention, but he also didn't want to hurt the staff's courtesy. When he boarded the plane, flight attendant Sandra Williams greeted him. Mr. Chen, welcome. Seat 2A is yours, she said. Thank you, Robert replied. Robert sat in his seat. The businessman in the seat next to him looked at him. Are you that famous veteran? He asked. Robert nodded. Just a father going to his son's wedding, he replied. The businessman extended his hand. I'm Thomas Anderson. It's an honor to fly with you, he said. After the plane took off, flight attendant Sandra came to Robert's side. Mr. Chen, can we offer you anything special? She asked. No, thank you. Everything is perfect, Robert replied. Sandra approached. Mr. Chen, may I ask, how did you find courage that day? She inquired. Robert looked out the window. It wasn't courage. It was necessity. People were in danger, he explained. But for 72 hours without sleeping, Sandra continued. Adrenaline and necessity. People can do anything when they have to, Robert said. Thomas interjected. You're a real hero, he said. Robert turned to him. No, Thomas. Real heroes are silent. They don't tell stories. They just live, he replied. During the flight, several more passengers talked to Robert. Everyone admired his humility. When the plane landed, Robert stood up. He took his bag and walked toward the exit. At the gate, his son Michael was waiting for him. Dad, Michael said, hugging him. Son, how are you? Robert asked. I'm fine, Dad. How was the flight? Michael inquired. Robert smiled. It was interesting. A young girl learned an important lesson, he said. What do you mean? Michael asked. That people shouldn't be judged by their appearance, Robert explained. Michael asked curiously. What happened? Robert told his son the story. Michael was surprised. Dad, you never change. You still give everyone a chance, he observed. Because everyone makes mistakes, Michael. What matters is learning, Robert replied. On the way home, Robert was thinking. Jessica's mistake hadn't hurt him because he knew the young girl had learned a lesson, and maybe she would never judge anyone by their appearance again. The next day, when Jessica came to work, Margaret was waiting for her. Jessica, did you think about what happened yesterday? Margaret asked. Jessica bowed her head. Yes, Margaret. I was very ashamed, she replied. Good, because this is a lesson. Never judge people by their appearance, Margaret said. What would I do if I saw Mr. Chen again? Jessica asked. Margaret smiled. You would show him the respect he deserves. But more importantly, you would show the same respect to everyone, she replied. Jessica nodded. I understand. I won't make such a mistake again, she said. And she really didn't. From that day on, Jessica treated every customer with the same courtesy. Because she had learned that heroes don't always wear uniforms. Sometimes they dress simply and live quietly. Robert Chen attended his son's wedding. It was a happy day. But the moment he was happiest was knowing that a young woman had learned her lesson. Because real victories are won not on battlefields, but in people's hearts. This story reminds us that heroes walk among us every day, often unrecognized and underestimated. Have you ever encountered someone who taught you not to judge by appearances? Share your experience in the comments below and let us know what city you're watching from today. If this story moved you, please subscribe to Honor Stories and hit that notification bell. We publish new stories every week that celebrate the quiet dignity and hidden strength of those who served. Because sometimes the most important people are the ones who never ask to be treated as important. Thank you for watching. And remember, respect isn't earned by how someone looks, but by who they are and what they've done for others.